Greetings, beloved one, once again. Oh, so I feel like I need to shift the energy. I know that we've been in a meditative state, but I also want us to be open and receptive. So I want you to just stand for a moment. And I want you to just look at somebody, anybody, and tell them you are a force for good in the world. You are a force for good in the world. You're a force for good in the world. Thank you. You are a force for good in the world. Yes. All right, you may be seated. Do you feel that? We're it. We're it. I was debating whether I would show this. It's been seen on Facebook and shown on YouTube for a while now, but somebody's re-emerged it. And I looked at it this morning, and it's a little girl. And she is talking to her mother. And apparently her parents either are thinking about getting a divorce, or they're separating, or they're fighting. Something is going on between her mother and her father. And she is 6 years old, and she is giving her mother a message. And I wanted to see, I don't know if Tracy has it up, but listen, we can't really see, but listen.
Mom, are you ready to be his friend?
Yes.
Try not to be that high up to be friends. I want everything to be low, okay?
Okay.
Just try your best. I don't want you and my dad to be replaced and mean again. I want you and my dad to be placed and settled and be friends. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be friends. And if I can be nice, I think all of us can be nice too. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to do my best in my heart. Nothing else than that. I want you, Mom, my dad, everyone to be friends. I want everyone to be smiling, not like being mad. I want everything to smile. Especially when I see someone, I want them to smile. Especially Nana, everyone. I want everyone to smile. And if that's for my dad and you, Mom, I think you can do it. I think you can settle your mean heights down a little to short heights. Then it's both, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm trying to be steady on the floor, not way down, on straight, on the middle where my heart is. My heart is something. Everyone else's heart is something too. And if we live in a world where everyone's being mean, everyone's gonna be a monster in their future. What if there's just a little bit of persons and we will eat them, then no one will ever be here. Only the monsters in our place. We need everyone to be a person. Everyone, including me and my mom, everyone. I just want everything to be settled down. Nothing else. I just want everything to be good as possible. Nothing else.
Thank you, Tiana. Come and give mommy chụp. I love you.
I love you too.
Don't you think she has something profound is happening? I love that she said she doesn't want your mean to be high, she wants it to be low. You know? And not so low, but she said but straight, from where like my heart is. You know, go online and listen to what she's saying. Someone said, can you hear the voice of God speaking to us through a child? I don't want your mean to be high. I want it to be low. And she says, if I can be nice, then everybody can be nice. You know, not just her mom and dad. And she says, I think you can do it. I love that, you know. So what we're saying to the world is, I think we can do it. I think we can do it. It's just a matter of everybody smiling, you know. I know the other thing that's been going around that people have been talking about is Marianne Williamson's letter of apology. Did you all see that? Oh, no? Okay, some did. It's very, very powerful. And you can go on YouTube and read it. But she writes an apology to the African-American race. And I won't go into it, but last week I was at an event where she was YouTubed in or Skyped in or whatever, and a gentleman named Stephen Dinan was there. But what Marianne said was that there could be such a great shift if there simply was an acknowledgement of what took place in our country, where we have been in the past, the hurt and the pain that it has caused, not just African Americans, but all of us in the country, because it's brought us to this place in consciousness now. And that for most people, she was saying, and it's true, that when we really offer our heart to someone and our forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, it sort of melts the situation, because it's hard then to be really angry when someone has really come from a place of heartfelt seeking understanding, heartfelt seeking forgiveness, you know, not holding from the egoic place of right and wrong, but just being willing to open up. Very, very powerful. So if you have a chance, you can go and look that up as well. But we have certainly established that something is going on, not only in our country, but in the world at large. Would we not agree? That something is going on. There's no doubt in my mind that we are at a critical point in history, that something big is happening. And I'm wondering if it is a revolution or an evolution, or maybe a little bit of both. Exactly, a little bit of both. I think that we are proving Gil Scott-Heron wrong, because the revolution is being televised. And you see, only those who are products of the 60s would get that reference. So for those of you who are maybe baby boomers, or not baby boomers, but millennials or whatever, Gil Scott-Heron wrote a song, and he said that the revolution will not be televised. Well, I think that's not necessarily true, because we are seeing, and I think because we have the ability to see so much, that it is bringing to our awareness and our consciousness what has happened. Years ago, when things weren't televised and we didn't know, we might hear something, you know, months later, but to actually see it, to actually be a part of it is waking up and shifting and shaking the consciousness in which we are experiencing life. I think what happened to really remember the Vietnam War? Well, it became a thing when all of a sudden the war was in our living room. See, war is fine if we don't have to really see it, if we're not connected to people losing their lives and dying. But when all of a sudden the news was bringing it right into our living room, we were shocked. The same thing with the marches, the civil rights marches, when they had hoses and dogs, all of a sudden everybody was like, what? You see, because when we were able to see it, it made it real for us. And so we are in the midst. I think Marianne said this, and I've got to get her to come here because I think she's spot on. But she said, make no mistake, friends, we are in the midst of a revolution. And she said that the only factor to consider is if we are going to meet it, if we are going to face it with fear or with love. Marianne's a big Course in Miracles person, and with the Course in Miracles, their basic premise is that there are only two basic emotions in life: fear and love. And so she says, make no mistake, what we are seeing is a revolution. But how are we going to approach it? Now, I'll say this. We know that one choice would lead us to a path of destruction and chaos. And that's the path of what? We see it, right? And the other path, the other choice, which may be all too challenging for us to do, which is what? Can lead to solutions that may work for all. But it seems to be a greater challenge to love in the face of adversity and difficulty and challenge, where fear comes up very naturally and easily, so we usually go with that response. I got into a Facebook discussion the other day with a gentleman about love versus power. Now, normally I just read all the posts on Facebook and I don't necessarily respond, whatever. But I was moved with this particular Facebook post, love versus power. And I was moved because I believe that there's a feeling on some folks' part that the time has passed for talk about love and talk about peace and talk about harmony, that, look, the time is past for that, and that we need a more radical and a more powerful approach to what's happening now. That something deep, something radical, something powerful is being called for. And so I intimated that love is a radical and powerful approach. That love, yes, that it is a transformative energy and force. And so the response, the gentleman typed back, said power does not respect love. Meaning power, or the powers that be, do not respect love. And so my response to that was, that may be true if you put or see power as being something outside of yourself. If that's how you view what power is, then sure, it might not, but I'm talking about something deeper and different, and I didn't get a retort after that, so I left it alone. But you see, it's so easy to feel powerless if you don't know how to tap into the power that lies within you. And it's a different kind of power. It's not a power over something. I'm not talking about power over a person or power over a situation or power over a circumstance. I'm talking about power to effect change within your own being, power to make a different choice, power to shift your own consciousness and your own perceptions to a higher view, right? The power to bring understanding to a situation, the power to do something that will actually change your circumstances, not a power over. So in this instance, power and love are equal. They are equal when we are able to see them as qualities of being that exist within us. So what that statement tells me then, for the most part, is that people don't recognize the absolutely transformative power and energy that we wield and that we yield within ourselves, right? To affect our circumstances. We don't understand that. So therefore, it looks weak to most people. Love is sort of a weak, mamsy-pamsy quality, right? And it looks weak because we don't understand the real power of these spiritual principles and qualities of being, because they're qualities of God. Of God. That lie within us, that we have at our disposal to effect change in our circumstance, in our lives, in our conditions. But you got to know how to work it. You have to understand, it's imperative to know that when you're seeking change, you don't start with the effects. You don't start with what's showing up in the outer. You start with the cause, right? The inner level of thought and perception. See, as metaphysicians, you understand how things come into being. So you start with the cause. You are cause agents. You are change agents. You are co-creators with the divine and God. So you start with the qualities of being that exist within you. First, you tap those. Because if you start with the effects, before you have gone within, you're going to get entangled in them. So you start with the cause. And when you start with the cause, it's then easier to see your way out, to see the choices you must make, to see the path you're supposed to go, to get the direction, to get the guidance from on high, right? So that which you do will carry greater energy, transformative energy. You won't be flailing around trying to just knock off everything and anything that you think is out here and is in the enemy and it's not right, and let's kill it off. That's what we're doing now. So there has to be something that is different, radical. Never underestimate the power of love or of any spiritual quality of being of God. Don't underestimate that. Because the person or the persons who know how to tap into it and use them is a person of great magnitude and force. Take Jesus. He understood how to tap into certain qualities of being and became a great change agent. So that some 2,000, 3,000 years, we are still working with the concepts and teachings that were presented. Could be the same, could be said for Buddha, for Allah, for all the greats who understood, Confucius, all these greats who understood the higher workings of higher laws and principles. They're lasting because anything that comes from that high vibration is of God, and it has goodness and it lasts. So we need to tap in. So here, listen, I picked up a scripture that I said, what scripture would go for this whole concept of understanding the power of love? And I chose something from Luke. This is the Sermon on the Mount. And I'm going to read it from the Message because I think it's powerful. To you who are ready for the truth. You ready for the truth? Huh? Oh, okay. I say this. Love your enemies. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer for that person. See, I'm not talking willy-nilly stuff when I'm telling you this. I'm talking about some deep, metaphysical principles of being, of life, that the masters have used, okay? So when someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer for that person. Prayer is a high intended thought for good, and we have the power to confer it upon others, okay? If someone slaps you in the face, stand there and take it. Now this was the first nonviolent, see, you thought Gandhi had it and brought it to the world. Jesus talked about this. This is nonviolent, or the practice and power of non-resistance. There's so much power in that because we're not fighting in the outer, we are putting forth the inner power, which will transcend anything in the outer. That's how Gandhi got a whole nation to shift and change. Right? A simple act of coming from within and showing. When you show man's inhumanity to himself, after a while he can't stand it. The heart has to change. And then he says, if someone grabs your shirt, gift wrap your best coat and make a present of it. Now this is high teaching. This is not for everybody. If someone takes unfair advantage of you, use the occasion to practice the servant life. No more tit-for-tat stuff. See, I just said that to someone I wrote, I'm not into tit-for-tat. I just can't go that way. It doesn't work. So it says, live generously. Here is a simple rule of thumb for behavior. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you. Then grab the initiative and do it for them. You can't get what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. You want something? Do it. Give it. You'll have it. Then he says, if you only love the lovable, do you expect a pat on the back? Run-of-the-mill sinners do that. If you only help those who help you, what do you expect? A medal? Garden variety sinners do that. If you only give for what you hope to get out of it, do you think that's charity? The stingiest of pawnbrokers do that. I tell you, love your enemies. Help and give without expecting a return. You'll never, I promise, regret it. Live out this God-created identity, Do you recognize you have a God-created identity? It is the Christ in you, right? Your divine nature, your divine self. It's the God in you, through you, as you. That's your real identity. He says, live out this God-created identity the way our Father lives towards us, generously and graciously. And even when we are at our worst, our Father is kind. You be kind. Make your mean come all the way down. Don't pick on people. Jump on their failures. Criticize their faults, unless, of course, you want the same treatment. Don't condemn those who are down. That hardens and that can boomerang. Be easy on people. You'll find life a lot easier. Give away your life. You'll find life given back. Not merely given back, but given with bonus and blessing. Giving, not getting, is the way. Generosity begets generosity. I love this teaching because it feels like it's for us right now. It's for us to understand where we are and what needs to happen, because these are radical times that we're living in. And yes, we are in the midst of a revolution. It's taking place. I also believe that we are in the midst of an evolutionary leap. You see, we're forging ahead. Both are happening. It's just a matter of time. In fact, the difference between a revolution and evolution is simply a matter of time. A revolution has been defined as this, according to Webster, several definitions, but one is a revolution is a sudden, radical, or complete change, or a fundamental change in political organization, or activity or movement designed to effect fundamental changes in the socio-economic situation. 3 definitions. And an evolution is defined as this. It could be a process of change in a certain direction, or an unfolding, or a process of continuous change from a lower, simpler, and worse to a higher, more complex, or better state. and then it says growth. Or it could be a process of gradual and relatively peaceful social, political, and economic advance. Well, it looks like we're in a revolution. That's our immediate situation, right? It feels like it's sudden, it's not necessarily so peaceful, but I also believe that we are in this midst of this evolving spiritually, because we are unfolding our divine nature. We are moving from the lower, simpler, state to a better state, or growth, as Webster put it. We are moving into growth. And growth, and as we know, growth and change is never easy. And especially it can be challenged if we're quickly, asked to change immediately. People are, wait a minute. I made some changes in the order of service, and people, wait, hold on. It's a change here, I see. We didn't sing this, we didn't do that. No, we didn't. It's a change. And sometimes change isn't easy if it's sudden, like a revolution, as opposed to more evolving change. We want our change to be so slow that we don't even know that we've changed, right? We don't want it to be too radical. Either way, whether it's a revolution or if it's evolution, what counts is that there is a shift, something that is shifting us from one state to another, from the status quo, hopefully into a higher, more evolved state of being. We're growing, we're unfolding. Gail Sheehy said this. She said, if we don't change, if we don't grow, if we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we're not really living. Growth demands a temporary surrender of security. You've got to give up some security if you want to grow. It may mean a giving up of familiar but limiting patterns, safe but unrewarding work, values no longer believed in, relationships that have lost their meaning. That's to grow. You may have to give up the relationships. You may have to give up the job. It has no meaning, no reward. Let it go. And Scott Peck says this. He added, he said, growing up is the act of taking a fearful leap into the unknown, undetermined, unsafe, insecure, unsanctified, and unpredictable. It's a leap that many people never really take in their lifetimes. Well, the universe, friends, is demanding that we change worldwide. It's demanding that we all take this leap to grow up and to grow into our next evolution, our next step in our evolution. It's time we grow up, right, and grow into it. And we are doing it through radical means. See, we're being moved into the next step of our evolution and growth by radical means, by a revolution. So the question is, how will you meet today's world and its demands for change? Are you going to meet it with fear, or are you going to meet it with love? How are you meeting the changes in your own life and affairs? Are you meeting them with fear, or are you meeting them with love? Because I can tell you that fear as a choice, all that does is simply holds you back, and it delays the progress of growth, right? Love as a choice is expansive, because love is an expansive quality. Love, therefore, aids in our growth. And it's radical because it causes change. It transforms. There is nothing that is loved that remains the same. Nothing. Whether it's a plant, when you love that plant, it grows. When you love that animal, it's happy. Nothing that is love remains the same. It blossoms, it unfolds, it goes deeper and deeper into itself, expresses more and more and greater goodness, beauty, joy. It's powerful. Love is powerful. And yet, make no mistake, love as a force is not passive. Some people think it means just taking no action, just sitting and waiting and accepting. We call it love in action. love in motion. Love as the first element to guide and direct you, to direct your actions. Love needs to be the first element to guide your actions so that whatever it is that manifests will manifest in the highest and best possible way. It's powerful. So what do you need to love? What radical changes are you being called to enact in your life? Because make no mistake, nobody is escaping the energy of these times. Nobody right now is getting a free pass. Everybody is affected by what's going on out here, but I guarantee you, if I were to sit down with you, you'd also be able to tell me that there's something going on in your life that is causing a shift, that is asking to be changed, right? And radically. There's something going on because we're micro, we pull on one and say, how does it go? We are microisms, microcosms, thank you. We're also microisms, and I'm making up that word. But we're microcosms of the macrocosm, right? Everything that's taking place on the larger scale is taking place within us, because that's how life works. So it's all a process. So if your life is upside down, don't fret about it. It's part of the process. It's part of the shift, part of the change. But how you are choosing to meet your challenges in your life and the ones out here will speak volumes as to where you are in consciousness. So I say, resolve to revolutionize your life. Change it radically. To do something not the way you've always done it, change it. To commit to your evolutionary growth, not just as a spiritual being, but I want you to change it as a human being. We have forgotten how to be human beings as well. Kindness and love and respect for life and valuing each other. We've got to get back to those things. I'm going to ask you to make more conscious choices. Be present. Don't just do something. Why? Make a conscious choice. That's your power to choose. Take the high road. So many are taking the low road. You take the high road. This is what that scripture was about. Regardless of what they're doing to you, saying about you, you take the high road. Consult inwardly, moment by moment, what needs to be done. As a practice, every moment, go inward, consult. Anchor your mind, anchor your heart and soul in the deep waters of the divine. And do it daily or momently. You know, I'm learning to check in each time, because if I'm leaving it to me, I'm getting off base. I got to keep checking in, keep anchoring, keep going deep, keep asking, keep accessing my higher self. So I make high choices. I take the high road. I'm not caught in the entanglement of the effects of the world. I want to keep myself as a conscious co-creator with my ability to declare, to decree, to choose, to affirm, to affect my world out here by what I'm doing in here. And then I'm going to ask you to look into your own heart with inner integrity and with open heart and open eyes to look at your consciousness, to look at your heart, to look at your words, to look at your feelings, to look at your perceptions. And I want you to see where you may be harboring fear, hatred, prejudice, judgment, anger. Because we don't want to look at those things within ourselves. But as you look to see where that is coming up in you, and to look with no condemnation for the self, because this is a hard practice to do. You can't do it by condemning yourself, so you also got to be kind and loving to yourself. But when you are able to actually look at it, to just be aware and to acknowledge these things within yourself, that will help to keep you from projecting it out here onto others. And when we stop projecting our fear, our hurt, our anger, our disconnection onto others, things will change. We have work to do. And it all begins with ourselves. As within, so without. So it's time to revolutionize your life. It's time to evolve to a higher consciousness, a higher expression, a higher love. And when I wrote that, I started singing, give me a higher love. Yeah, that's the way Spirit works, but I want a higher love. That's the call, right? That's the call, a higher love. Because listen, friends, you can't be the change you wish to see in the world until you do. And that is what? Change. Because we're all going around, let's be the change. Well, are you changing? Is there a revolution and an evolution taking place within your own being? That has to happen. So I say this. I want you to grab hold of God's unchanging hand and don't let go, because it's going to be a bumpy but a blessed ride. We're moving upward and onward. Blessings and namaste. Blessings and namaste. Namaste. Blessings. Thank you.